Prepare thyself well, Dragon Warrior. Thy most challenging quest ever awaits. Go with speed, but go with patience. Seek out an arsenal, a dragon scale, a torch, and magic herbs. Use wisdom and cunning to choose thy commands, for the Dragon Lord is a fierce rival. Horrible and treacherous minions all guard the Evil One's island castle. Art thou ready, young one?
Yes, King Lord.
And so begins a new epic, Dragon Warrior.
Nintendo, now you're playing
Dragon Warrior. Dragon Warrior 1 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. You see, like many kids growing up in the glorious golden NES days, Dragon Warrior 1 was my first RPG experience ever. But to say that I was overall thrilled with it, to say I was overall thrilled with the RPG genre would be nothing but a big fat stupid lie at best, because heck, the only reason why me and most kids played it in America back then was because they were actually giving copies away for free. That's right, you heard me correctly. They gave free video games with a new subscription to Nintendo Power. My brain wanted to explode at the time. 12 issues of Nintendo Power and a free flipping game? And when I finally got it in the mail, I could not believe my eyes. The box art looked amazing on this game, and it came with all sorts of books and magazines. And why is this king talking to me? Why are there so many texts and letters and words on the screen? Is this a reading game? Is Dragon Warrior a freaking reading game? Am I in fucking school? I thought I played games to forget about school. Fuck, my controller's broken! Ah! My controller's broken! For Christ's sake, I can't get the Dragon Warrior to move, or move his sword, or jump or do anything! Fucking move, you piece of shit! Get to the fucking game! Ah, fucking what the fuck is this goddamn fucking game? Yeah, suddenly I and every other fucking kid across America knew exactly why Dragon Warrior came fucking free. And back then, it was so fucking hilarious. They actually included an advertisement for Dragon Warrior 2 with your copy of the game that said, "Don't forget to buy Dragon Warrior 2, kiddies, not bloody fucking likely." Dragon Warrior wasn't a game, it was fucking work. It was a pain in the goddamn neck, and it made a lot of us feel stupid. And who really likes to feel stupid? That's what fucking school is for. And truth be told, in hindsight, you and I now know Dragon Warrior is amazing. But at the time, I had no idea whatsoever that this Reading is Fun game was in fact the biggest thing over in Japan since the Calorie Mate and the Rice Cooker. And I certainly had no idea that I was in fact holding one of the most revolutionary console games of all time. One that would act as a catalyst leading to the greatest gaming experiences of my life, the RPG ones. I didn't know any of this. All I knew back then was if I wanted to fucking read, I had a whole stack of goddamn Berenstain Bear books and Garfield the Cat books. Fuck Dragon Warrior! You give me Ralph the motorcycle effing mouse, thank you, but deep down, I did kind of want to be a Dragon Warrior. I wanted to be the guy on the box art. I wanted to go on amazing adventures and fight monsters, slay dragons, be a hero, not a bench warmer, and let's face it, Berenstain Bears, Garfield the Cat, and Ralph the motorcycle effing mouse can get pretty darn boring after a while. And soon it became some strange annual tradition of mine that every Christmas, while I waited for Santa to bring me my new well-deserved Nintendo games, I would blow some dust off old Dragon Warrior. I would pop it in my NES and I would see just how far I could get, which was never that far at all, by the way, even using Game Genie unlimited magic codes. I think the farthest I ever got was usually a Hawksness, if I'm pronouncing it properly, but I could never beat that stupid Grey Axe Knight. It just took so much grinding, and I always got my butt handed to me over and over again on a silver platter playing Dragon Warrior. Back then, I was a platforming king. I was the king of platforming, but a Dragon Warrior I was not. I was a dragon fool. And why would I want to keep playing a game that made me feel all sad, defeated, and foolish all the time? I played games to feel good, damn it, don't you? And yet still, the story, the mystique of Dragon Warrior was not lost on me. The story still intrigued me to no end, and when I was just a boy, I would actually play Dragon Warrior in my basement of all things, pretending to fight skeletons and orange ghosts wearing witch hats for some reason, until a game called Final Fantasy came out, and suddenly Dragon Warrior wasn't cool anymore. Now was, well, in America, Dragon Warrior was never cool, but now compared to Final Fantasy 1, Dragon Warrior was even farther down on the coolness totem pole, because Final Fantasy 1 didn't just have one playable character, it had 4. And you could pick their job class, and you could earn more money, but like that effing mattered at the time, but kids are stupid. But here and there, I would play Final Fantasy 1-2 now, every holiday season, and get my butt kicked. And then finally came a day where I decided that RPGs were in fact for losers and nerds, and yeah, I was a nerd back then, but I was in serious nerd denial, and it doesn't matter anyways, because you see, myself and the rest of gaming America were not yet ready to accept RPG games. Now, this would all change once Final Fantasy VII exploded on the scene, but this would soon change much sooner for me, however, in the shape of everyone's favorite blue-overalled plumber, Mario. Super Mario RPG! Though Super Mario RPG came at the end of the SNES's life cycle, it still managed to sell over 600,000 copies, far exceeding Nintendo's previous RPG attempt with their Earthbound, This Game Stinks campaign from 1 year earlier. Earthbound was a flop back then, selling only 160,000 units, back when Super Nintendo was still king of the gaming hill back in '95. And Super Mario sold nearly 4 times that in '96, a year later, even with Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation now on the scene. Why? How? Well, for starters, Super Mario RPG had better 16-bit graphics. The best graphics you will ever see on a 16-bit video game. It practically looked 3D for God's sake. And 2, Super Mario RPG had the easiest RPG interface for its time. It was the most user-friendly RPG ever without being utterly patronizing like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest was. And most importantly of all, let's face it, it had Super Mario in it. Seriously! It makes you wonder why someone at Nintendo didn't think of it sooner. Hey Nintendo, do you really want us to give a shit about RPGs? Well, slap some Mario in it! Slap some Super Mario in it and watch how fast we jump on the RPG bandwagon. But all Mario slapping aside, it is worth noting that Super Mario RPG even had a fantastic story to it. One with lovable characters, despicable villains, and a threat so great that Mario and the princess actually had to team up with Bowser of all creatures to stop it. That was unheard of back then. Bowser on the same side as Mario and the princess? There must be some serious shit going down in the Mushroom Kingdom, and there certainly was. The Smithy gang, an invading force the likes of which the people of the Mushroom Kingdom had never seen. Mario RPG was a game the likes of which none of us had ever seen. Most of us grew up with this lovable character since we were little kids, but Mario RPG presented us with this rare chance to personally get to know him better, and the entire Mushroom Kingdom too, more than just the usual one-liner of "Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle." Though in the Nintendo tradition, Mario does not speak, he turns out to be quite the character. Mario's quite the impressionist, he has quite the sense of humor to himself, and Bowser turns out to be quite the likable ham. He turns out to have a very big heart, which kind of makes you think maybe Bowser's just misunderstood. And Princess Toadstool in this game is not just a damsel in distress. She is quite the firecracker in a battle, and you would need her. Along with her and Geno and Mallow in this game, you would need all the help you can get. Because the Smithy gang are in no way interested in the mere capturing of a princess or the mere conquering of some simple Mushroom Kingdom, but they are interested in the absolute annihilation of everyone and everything. I am literally talking they are a bunch of instruments of destruction. The Smithy gang are weapons, all living, breathing weapons. And their leader, Smithy,
already finished the factory tour, huh? How about a little demonstration?
Is the ultimate weapon of all because he is the maker of weapons. Just look at him. He actually runs a factory filled with little helpers in the middle of some desolate wasteland in the middle of nowhere, and he looks just like an evil Santa Claus. Coincidence? I think not. Think about it for a sec. Of all the fiendish creatures Nintendo could have possibly chosen for Mario RPG's final boss to look like, why in God's name would Nintendo choose jolly old Saint Nick? I mean, when you think about it, the two have a lot in common, Smithy and Santa. Like I just said, they both run a massive factory in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a wasteland filled with all kinds of tiny little helpers. But the big difference, of course, is one of these factories produces toys of joy for the little girls and boys of the world, and the other does not. The other produces nothing but weapons of mass destruction to annihilate all the good girls and boys. Quite the difference, wouldn't you say? Why? What is Nintendo trying to say? In day 9 of my RPG Quest video series, go watch it, I asked the question, who made Smithy? Who smithed the blacksmith? Well, I think the answer is quite clear. Nintendo is saying America smithed the blacksmith. Western culture, in fact, smithed the blacksmith. We smithed the blacksmith. That is getting really hard to say. It's like a tongue twister. Through Super Mario RPG, I think Nintendo of Japan is painting a very ugly picture of Western American culture, don't you? It's like they're trying to say, though we as Americans like to paint ourselves as a bunch of jolly old Saint Nicks giving gifts of freedom, capitalism, and Walmarts to the good little impoverished children from around the world, we are in fact nothing but overglorified, warmongering weaponsmiths, bringing nothing but pain, destruction to the world in our wake. That's not very flattering, is it? This game takes our culture's oldest and biggest icon representing childhood, and through this game, Nintendo paints it as a terrible invading monster. And where is this monster invading? The Mushroom Kingdom. Who lives in the Mushroom Kingdom? Mario! And who is Mario? The newest and biggest icon representing childhood. It's worth pointing out he's the Japanese-created new icon of childhood. Holy cow, right? American Santa Claus, bad guy. Japanese Super Mario, good guy. The balls on the Japanese. Talk about still being upset about 1945. Heck, you gotta figure that if Smithy didn't look like Santa, he'd probably look like Mickey Mouse instead, but I'm sure Nintendo didn't want to get their pantsuit off, so they stuck with a fat body and a white beard instead. That's some crazy stuff right there! And all the more reason why Super Mario RPG is so fitting to truly demonstrate the power of RPGs. You play a regular Mario game, what's going on? Nothing. Less than nothing. Just a damsel in distress, a giant turtle monster, and some platforming! But when you play Super Mario RPG, you get a remarkable story, a remarkable adventure, memorable characters, memorable villains, and of all things, 50 years worth of World War II Japanese resentment? No effing way! How could you ever complete your first RPG and go back to looking at regular video games the same again? Regular video games is like sniffing glue in your high school parking lot, whereas RPGs are like snorting a whole 8-ball of cocaine off some high-priced hooker's belly. It's a mindfuck! It's fucking brilliant! Super Mario RPG was my the first RPG I ever completed. And for me, there was no going back after that. I was changed, forever changed, as I'm sure many of you all were when you completed your first RPG. There is nothing like them because there is so much going on below the surface that most people don't get to notice. But we do, because like I already have said, whereas most people see nothing in RPGs but boring menus, stats, and tiresome turn-based combat systems, we get to see everything. We get some of the greatest gaming experiences of our lives, sometimes even the greatest personal moments of our life. Yes, you can get a great personal moment from a video game, and these are things I want to explore with this series. I not only want to explore all the remarkable things going on below the surface of all these fantastic games, I want to continue to explore all the great fantastic things going on below the surface with us, and maybe even what this means for us in the world at large. Coming up, I want to explore what is easily my most favorite RPG of all time, my most favorite game of all time, the one that put RPGs on the map in America, the one that changed the gaming industry forever and changed a lot of us forever. I want to speak about none other than Final Fantasy VII. I hope you all join me on the RPG Adventure Quest videos. Thank you so much.